Have you ever stopped to think that, while you believe you are waiting for answers, in truth it is you who is being silently observed? Not observed in the usual sense, not by human eyes but by the invisible intelligence that permeates everything, the universal field. The universe does not respond to the words you speak, nor to the actions you perform merely on the surface. It responds to something far more subtle, far more real. Your vibration as you observe life unfolding. Your inner silence, your stability in the face of the unexpected, your serenity amidst chaos. This is what the field reads, interprets, and mirrors back to you as reality. You can ask, affirm, visualize. But if, as you observe, your vibration carries anxiety, doubt, or resistance, the universe will respond to that frequency, not to your desire. Because in the invisible space between what happens and how you observe, your entire future is being shaped. Today we will open a new window of perception. You will understand that what we call spiritual tests are not trials designed to measure your strength or your intelligence. They are exact reflections of your vibrational state. They are silent questions posed by existence. Have you already become the new energy you claim you want to live? And once you perceive this, you will no longer need to force change. You will be the change. Each small situation, each subtle challenge, each unexpected delay will cease to be an obstacle and will become a sacred mirror, reflecting your point of creation. Prepare to see the invisible. The universe is not testing your patience, it is reading who you are in the silence of now. What is a true spiritual test? When we hear the word test, the mind immediately associates it with the idea of a difficult trial, something we must face, overcome, or survive to prove our worth. However, in the spiritual universe, and especially in the realm of consciousness and observation, the concept of a test is completely different from what we have been conditioned to believe. A true spiritual test is not placed in your path to measure your physical strength, your mental endurance, or your ability to battle external circumstances. It is created to observe something much more subtle and at the same time much more decisive. The quality of your silent vibration as you move through what you do not immediately understand. The universe is not interested in how loudly you cry out for change or how fervently you ask for miracles. It observes silently what continues to vibrate within you when nothing seems to change. The spiritual test is not an external challenge to be conquered. It is a vibrational mirror that reveals whether you are already compatible with the life you desire to experience. While school tests measure how much you have memorized, spiritual tests measure who you have become internally. The field of infinite possibilities responds to the real vibrational signature you emit, not to what you say you believe, not to your plans, not to your words of positivity. Reality responds to your most intimate state of being, and especially to the way you observe every experience that arises. This is why so many feel stuck even after practicing positive affirmations, rituals, or spiritual exercises. It's not what you say that shapes your life. It's what you observe and how you observe silently, day after day, that constructs the matrix of your reality. The true test is silent. It appears in everyday situations, the unexpected delay, the plan that didn't unfold as imagined, the response that didn't arrive when expected, the doubt that tries to creep into the cracks of your confidence. And it is precisely in these moments of discord between desire and reality that the universe observes the most crucial reaction. Will you continue to observe life with the vibration of your old self? Or will you sustain the new vibrational field that matches the life you claim to desire? When you deeply understand this, your entire way of living changes. You stop seeing delays as punishments. You stop viewing obstacles as punishments. Instead, you recognize every challenge, every delay, every small frustration is a living opportunity to solidify the vibration of the new reality you wish to anchor. The true spiritual test demands no brute strength. It demands silent fidelity to the new self you have chosen to be. It is not a test of effort, it is a test of presence. Not a test of struggle, but a test of vibrational observation. And it is precisely because of this that so many fail without realizing it. Not because they don't want to change, but because they still react as the old observer when new internal responses are required. In other words, they continue to observe the old world with the old vibration, and the universe, ever a perfect mirror, reflects exactly that. Understanding this not only changes your view of challenges, it frees you from the anxiety of having to pass some ordeal. You begin to realize that it's not about passing through trials, it's about passing through yourself. The spiritual test is, in truth, a silent question posed by the field. Are you already vibrating as the new reality you asked for? As long as the answer remains unstable, repeated situations will arise, not to punish you, but to train you. And when the answer becomes consistent, not through mental effort, but through natural vibration, the universe stops testing, for it recognizes within you the observer capable of sustaining the new reality. In the end, every spiritual test is an opportunity to align the invisible before the visible changes, an opportunity to prove, not to the universe, but to yourself, that you already are the change you seek to experience. How your unconscious reaction reveals your vibrational state. The reality you live is not determined by your conscious desires, nor even by your declared intentions. What silently shapes the fabric of your life is the vibration you emit at the exact moment you face the unexpected. And it is not the carefully crafted response you plan to give, but the automatic reaction that emerges before you even have time to think. The unconscious reaction is like an authentic energetic signature. It reveals to the universe, without masks, without filters, your true vibrational state. It is in the moment when you are not trying to appear positive, not trying to control your energy, that the truth of your frequency is exposed. Imagine this. You receive unexpected news. Something doesn't go as planned. Something seems to contradict your intentions. At that very moment, the way you observe what happens, the emotion that arises, the focus that settles, the internal story you choose to feed, is what informs the field of possibilities which line of reality will be strengthened for you. If, in the face of the unforeseen, you react with frustration, doubt, or resentment, the vibration you emit confirms to the universe that you are still tuned to the frequency of scarcity, resistance, and non-acceptance. It does not matter how many positive affirmations you recited that morning. It does not matter how many minutes you spent visualizing. The field responds to your real vibrational state of observation, not to isolated practices. On the other hand, if faced with the same challenge, you breathe deeply, allow the moment to be what it is, and observe the situation without fusing emotionally with the problem. You change everything. In that inner silence, in that space between the stimulus and the automatic reaction, a new frequency is chosen. And although externally nothing may appear to have changed yet, internally, your vibration has shifted onto a new line of reality. It is this invisible space between what happens and how you observe that redefines what is to come. When your automatic reaction shifts from fear, anxiety, or resistance to trust, acceptance, and presence, the universe recognizes that the observer is now aligned with the new reality calling to be born. The great illusion is believing that grand rituals, big decisions, or special moments define your destiny. In truth, it is the small, daily, often unconscious reactions that silently feed the vibrational matrix of your existence. Each time you choose not to identify with a fear-based thought, each time you choose to observe an uncomfortable situation with presence rather than judgment, you are reprogramming your vibration at the deepest level. You stop being an automatic repeater of the past and become a conscious creator of new possibilities. And the most beautiful part? It's not about perfection. You do not need to be immune to human emotions. You simply need to learn not to react unconsciously from the old patterns. It is in the moment when you feel the old emotions, irritation, haste, fear, rising, and you choose to observe without reinforcing it, that your field begins to be recoded. This process is subtle, yet incredibly powerful, because reality does not change when you force it to change. Reality changes when you change the state of being from which you observe. And the universe, which has always been a vibrational mirror, responds unerringly to that new signature. So observe. Observe your reactions. Observe your spontaneous emotions, not to judge them, but to understand them. Each unconscious reaction is an open window into your true vibrational field. And every time you respond from a new place, you silently reaffirm to the universe, I am already vibrating the new reality I chose to live. When this becomes natural, without effort, without struggle, what once seemed like a test transforms into confirmation. You are not being tested to prove your worth. You are being invited to recognize the power that has always lived within your observation. What the universe is really watching. Many believe that the universe is paying attention to the words they speak, the prayers they repeat, the visualizations they build during meditation. Others believe the universe watches their external actions, the discipline, the hard work, the effort to do the right thing. While these practices may reflect good intentions, the universe, being pure vibrational consciousness, observes something even deeper, the silent state of who you are as you observe life. The universe does not read your isolated thoughts. It does not react to what you consciously wish for, nor does it respond directly to what you visualize for a few minutes each day. The universe reads the constant vibrational signature you emit, and that signature is shaped above all by the quality of your observation. As you live, feel, and observe, your vibration is continuously updated, like an ongoing transmission that echoes into the field around you. When we say the universe is watching, we mean that the field is observing your vibrational coherence. It is not concerned with what you say you believe, but with what you feel as you observe what is right before your eyes. What you feel effortlessly, what you believe in your silent interior, what reveals itself in your most subtle emotional reactions. This is what the universe recognizes as your true state. If you observe your life through the lens of lack, even while affirming prosperity, the universe recognizes the vibration of scarcity and responds to it. If you silently distrust your relationships, even while visualizing love, the universe echoes back the frequency of insecurity still vibrating within you. And if you face challenging situations with trust, even when your old mind tries to trigger fear, the universe welcomes the new frequency you are sustaining and begins to reorganize your reality accordingly. The quantum field does not respond to what you pretend to feel. It responds to what you truly vibrate. This explains why so many become frustrated when manifestation techniques yield inconsistent results. Because while they attempt to mentally force the creation of a new reality, they continue to observe the world from the emotional patterns of their old self. It's important to understand the universe is perfectly neutral and just. It does not judge, it does not punish, and it does not reward with favoritism. It simply reflects. And this reflection is a faithful response to what your consciousness chooses to sustain as reality at the deepest level. Silent observation, often overlooked, is the real command you send to the field, moment by moment. Thus, true spiritual work is not about doing more, running more, or asking more. It is about observing better. It is about aligning what you focus on, what you feel, and what you sustain in silence. When these three forces become one, your vibrational signature becomes so clear that reality has no choice but to reorganize itself to reflect who you have become. The universe is not looking at your external efforts. It is attentive to how you observe, to the quality of your presence, to the purity of your effortless intention. It responds to the vibration between your words, behind your actions, beneath your thoughts. It responds to the space where you are who you are, without masks, without effort, simply being. And this is why true change is silent, because it happens when the observer, in their most natural state, begins to observe life with the frequency of the reality they wish to experience. When this becomes your state of being, without effort, without repetition, the universe instantly recognizes he already is. And then the reality that once seemed distant draws near, not as magic, but as the natural reflection of the new vibration you have learned to sustain. The universe does not need to be convinced. It simply responds, and the response will always be faithful to the silent vibration of your observation. 3 invisible signs you are being tested right now. When the universe tests you, it does not send obvious messages or create grand, spectacular situations, clearly signaling what is happening. The most important tests are silent, disguised within the small experiences of daily life. And they are invisible precisely because their purpose is to reveal your true vibrational state, without preparation, without a rehearsed response. The first invisible sign is the appearance of small, unexpected provocations. Not major problems, but subtle discomforts that challenge your patience, your faith, or your sense of stability. A delay in what seems certain, a sharp word from someone, a minor disruption that unsettles your plans. On the surface, they seem like mere annoyances, but vibrationally, they are invitations for you to observe how you react when life doesn't follow the mental script you constructed. Every time you are triggered and yet remain anchored in silent trust, you emit a vibrational signature of maturity to the field. And it is this maturity that determines whether you are ready to leap into the new reality you asked for. The second invisible sign is the repetition of old patterns, only now, in a slightly different form. It's as if the old stories you thought you had overcome reappear in new disguises. A relationship echoing old dynamics, a work opportunity carrying the same hidden challenges you once faced, an ancient emotion arising with a different mask. These repetitions are not punishments. They are tests to see whether you still observe these situations with the eyes of the past or whether you have developed the ability to see through them. How you choose to observe these repetitions determines whether you reinforce old patterns or finally cross the portal of true transformation. The third invisible sign is the feeling that your desires are very close to manifesting, yet something seems to stall at the last moment. You sense that you are almost there, that things are nearly unfolding, and then pause, silence, a small barrier. This almost is, in fact, the final vibrational test. It is at this point that many retreat, slipping back into doubt, anxiety, and reinforcing the vibration of lack. But it is also here that those who have understood the true role of observation remain steadfast in the new state of being. Maintaining the frequency of trust, even when nothing seems to be happening, is the signature of true inner transformation. And this is exactly what the universe is observing. Whether your vibration holds steady, even when the physical evidence has not yet appeared. These 3 invisible signs are not coincidences. They are perfect constructions created by the field to mirror your vibration back to you. They are not tests for the universe. They are silent confirmations of where you still need to strengthen your observation. And even more, they are hidden portals that, when crossed with awareness, exponentially accelerate the manifestation of the reality you are energetically ready to receive. Recognizing these signs is a gift, but more important than recognizing them is crossing them with wisdom. And wisdom does not express itself in force, in haste, or in battling circumstances. True wisdom is revealed in the serenity with which you observe, the neutrality with which you feel, and the silent trust with which you move through the invisible without needing external guarantees. The universe is not testing your ability to acquire things. It is testing your ability to sustain your vibration, anchored in what you already know to be true, even when everything seems to conspire to make you doubt. And every time you pass through these invisible tests without losing the clarity of the new state you chose to uphold, you draw inevitably closer to the visible manifestation of the new reality that is already yours by vibrational right. How to pass the test? Change the observer, not the scenario. Most people, upon realizing they are being tested by life, make the mistake of trying to change the external scenario. They fight to fix situations, strive to correct circumstances, attempt to speed up or control what happens on the outside. But the universe is not observing how much you can manipulate your environment. What it watches is who you become as you move through the experience. Passing the test is not about conquering the external challenge. It is about silently transforming the observer who looks at it. The test was never about the delay that appeared, the criticism you received, or the opportunity that slipped away. The test is about how you observe what is happening. The scenario is merely the surface. What is truly being evaluated is the vibrational frequency you choose to sustain while the surface shifts. It's natural to want to solve problems. It's human to wish that circumstances would quickly align with your plans. But every time you make external change your priority, you reinforce to the universe the vibration that you still need the world to change in order to feel at peace. And that vibration keeps you tied to the old reality, because the universe mirrors exactly what you hold as inner truth. The true passage occurs when you understand that the key is not in the scenario. The key lies in how you observe it. While the old self observes with resistance, fear, anxiety, or impatience, the new self observes with acceptance, trust, and presence. The great transformation happens when you stop asking, "When will this change?" and start asking, "How can I observe this from a new place right now?" When you change the observer without demanding that the scenario change first, something profound shifts in the vibrational field. You stop being a prisoner of what happens and become a co-creator of what happens. Your presence begins to radiate a frequency that quietly reorganizes the circumstances around you. Not because you force them to, but because external reality must align with the new state of being you have chosen to sustain. The test is passed the moment you observe the same challenging situation with a vibration different from the one you always carried before. It is in that instant that the universe recognizes you are no longer the same observer. You are not merely resisting or waiting. You are anchoring a new frequency with awareness. And inevitably, sooner or later, the scenario will reshape itself to reflect the new observer you have become. The secret is not to get lost in the movements of the scene. It is not to allow appearances to determine your vibration. It is to become so present, so rooted in the new observation, that external life, no matter how unstable it seems, can no longer pull you back into old frequencies. Because it is only when you observe consistently as the new self that the universe vibrationally confirms, he already is, she already is. And reality, as a faithful mirror, begins to reveal this new being through new circumstances. Passing the spiritual test is not a victory over the world. It is a silent victory over the internal pattern that kept creating the same results. When the old emotional pattern tries to reactivate and you choose to observe without reacting, without identifying, you reprogram your field. You don't need to fight the scenario. You need only to remain the new observer until the scenario inevitably bows before the new frequency. Reality was never the problem. Reality is simply the echo of the observer you choose to be. And when the observer changes, everything changes, naturally, silently, inevitably. What happens vibrationally when you pass the test? When you pass a spiritual test without surrendering to old patterns of reaction, something grand happens in the invisible, even if for a moment, everything still looks the same on the outside. Because passing the test is not a physical event. It's not an immediate prize nor a visible external shift. It is a silent shift, a profound reconfiguration in the vibrational field that sustains your entire reality. Vibrationally, passing the test means you have crossed an invisible line that separates who you were from who you are becoming. It means that, for the first time, when faced with a stimulus that once pulled you back into old patterns of fear, doubt, or resistance, you chose to remain anchored in the frequency of the new observer. You sustained the new vibration, even without external guarantees, even without evidence, simply because you recognize that your state of being is more real than any temporary circumstance. When this happens, your energetic field shifts permanently. The vibrational matrix that held the old repetitions begins to dissolve, because it was fed by your former way of observing. Without the fuel of unconscious reaction, without the reinforcement of doubt or anxiety, the old patterns lose the energy needed to keep manifesting. And naturally, new lines of reality, once seemingly unreachable, begin to approach. What changes first is not the scenario. What changes is the frequency through which you interact with the scenario. It's like changing the channel of an invisible transmission. You might still be standing in the same place, with the same people, under the same external conditions. But inside, your observer is vibrating on an entirely different frequency. And because the universe responds unerringly to true vibrational frequency, the field will inevitably and quietly begin to rearrange the pieces of your life. The vibrational shift that happens when you pass the test is like crossing an energetic bridge. On one side are all the realities aligned with the old self, marked by struggle, effort, and constant scarcity. On the other side are realities where manifestation is lighter, synchronicity flows more naturally, and doors open with less resistance. What separates these realities is not time or luck, it is the frequency of the observer. Every time you choose not to react as you once did, every time you observe with presence and trust a situation that previously destabilized your vibration, you send a clear signal to the field, I have changed. And the field, pure living intelligence, recognizes that change with absolute precision. This is why, after passing certain vibrational tests, many people report feelings of inexplicable lightness, unexpected encounters, effortless solutions, and new paths opening before them. But it's important to remember, true change doesn't happen because you convince the universe that you deserve something better. It happens because you aligned yourself internally with the frequency of the new reality. You became vibrationally compatible with what you once only mentally desired. And when this compatibility settles into your being, reality has no choice but to begin reflecting the new observer. This is the vibrational point of no return. After crossing a test in this way, you are no longer the same, not because the world around you changed, but because your perception has changed from within. And this new perception, this new energetic signature, opens portals that were once invisible. What was struggle becomes flow. What was resistance becomes conscious surrender. What was once a distant dream becomes living presence. Passing the test, therefore, is a silent consecration. There are no applause, no immediate visible rewards, but there is absolute recognition at the level of spirit. You have become the new observer, and that is all the universe needed to see to begin reorganizing everything in your favor. We have reached the end of our journey. Today you were able to realize that the universe was never testing your strength or your ability to control what happens. It was always silently observing the vibration with which you chose to move through the invisible. Every delay, every repetition, every subtle challenge was never an obstacle. It was an invitation to consolidate the new observer you are becoming. You don't need to change the scenario. You need to change the point from which you observe the scenario. Because when the observer changes, reality inevitably changes with it. The universe does not reward forced effort. It rewards the natural vibrational coherence of the one who, silently, already is the reality they wish to live. Remember, the way you observe today is what will shape what you live tomorrow. You are already being recognized. Keep observing as the one who has already crossed, and the world without rush and without fail will bow before your new frequency.